Hello, my lovelies. I'm Rebecca, and this is my recording for Pillars of the Moon. I am sending you this video in regards to the eclipse season that we are already in some ways. But yeah, this video is for the solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse, which is coming up on the next new moon. So the next lunar cycle is our eclipse season cycle. So yeah, I have so much like bubbling in me around this. So yeah, I just wanted to start as I'm beginning this video in feeling so much at the moment. And I've bought some ivy from just out in the garden here because I've been really working with the ivy energy. And the last few days, it's just been really quite strong for me. So I've brought grandmother Ivy along because there's stuff I'd like to share about her during this video. Because in the Celtic tree astrology, which some of you might know of, this time of year is connected to the ivy and really so significant to what this whole eclipse season is about and the energy of what we will be working with. So welcome, Ivy. And also I did my yoga practice this morning and drew a card from the power deck. And this card was called Perfection. So I'll show you that as well. You can see it. And I just wanted to read it to you all because, oh my goodness, like, yeah, it touched something in me today. So I'm going to start with this and then we're going to jump into the astrology and the chart. So it says perfection, very much about Virgo, right? Which is what the solar eclipse is in. Anyway, so it says, dream your passion, fly away, go through the hoop of your innermost fears and desires. Meet them and conquer them. What pain from childhood have you not dealt with? Move into the wound of your most secret fears and find the seeds of wisdom that are planted there. Face what upsets you the most. It is your greatest teacher. Give away whatever is holding you back. Insecurities, ego, fear of failure, or not being loved. Fear of being alone, and be reborn into a new state of perfection. Yes, this is what I wanted to start with today. This is what I started my yoga practice with. And yes, so something I wanted to mention around the eclipses is that, you know, eclipses come in cycles and they happen because of the nodes of the moon. You know, so without going too much into the science of all of that, so basically they happen whenever the full moons and new moons align with the nodes. So the last time we had our eclipses was May of this year, 2022, and we had a new moon solar eclipse in Aries and a full moon lunar eclipse in Libra. So yes, trying to cast our memory back to, you know, April and May of this year, you know, Beltane time, and what was coming up for us, where we was, you know, on the last eclipses. You know, if you have a journal like I do, it's really useful to look back. But I remember the last solar eclipse, I had a big family reunion, you know, and I met with my grandma, so my children met their great grandparents, and there was a huge family gathering. And then this new moon solar eclipse, which is coming up on Tuesday, I will be going to visit my parents over in Wales. So there's a returning, and there's also like a thread, you know, so you may be able to find that thread as well if you can look back to the last eclipses. And so everything's moving in cycles. So the nodes at the moment, you know, we've been working with the energy of Aries and Libra. And so the last solar eclipse and lunar eclipse was Aries and Libra, but this new moon solar eclipse will be right at the end of Virgo. So this is a little bit of a different twist, you know. So we've actually got the priestess, the midwife, Virgo, you know, Great Mother Isis, Virgo helping us with this eclipse. Because it's right over the Samhain portal, this eclipse season, in the Celtic wheel of the year, you know, we celebrate Samhain as our new year. So in the Druid calendar, you know, Samhain has long been the New Year celebration. And I really feel that, you know, and I feel like, you know, this is a beautiful Avalon apple as well. So I wanted to share with you, I'm sure you all know this, but, you know, when you cut open inside of an apple, you've got the 5. Oh, look at that. Magic. So this is a transmission of the apple right now from Avalon. You're welcome. So you have the 5-pointed star, you know, the star of Venus and the star of Inanna, star of Ishtar. So all these ancient mythologies and stories that are connected to the apple. Obviously, Avalon has many stories as well around the apple. Something I would love to share just quickly before I go into the charts is when my son Arthur was born 3.5 years ago, I received pillars of the moon. So before he came, there was no pillars of the moon. Well, there was, but I hadn't, you know, received it yet. And so since then, it's like what came through from his birth, it's like he brought in these messages for me from the cosmos, as the children do, right? Around the apple. And because obviously he's Arthur, okay? Yeah, and so what he was showing me in all of this stuff that come through the birth portal was, you know, when the apple falls from the tree, you know, it falls down into the earth. And the 5-pointed star, it beds down into the soil, you know. And so when we are meeting with the Samhain energy, we're meeting with that endings and beginnings, you know, we're breaking down the old. It's the composting. It's like what's useful, what can we use is the seeds, right? And interesting, this just dropped in this connection with the ivy. So the ivy it smells like sperm. I don't know if anyone else has noticed this. There's a big smell of sperm around at the moment, if you've got ivy growing nearby, because it's flowering. And the smell of ivy is like semen. So, wow, you know, the seeds of the apple are going down into the earth, and the ivy, which spirals, is the semen. It's the seeds that it's like that remembrance of that inner journey. So it's the seeds are going down into the womb of the earth, the womb of Gaia, you know, and so this is the inner journey. And so when Arthur was born, I received the pillars of the moon as the 5 lunations, or the 5 seeds of the inner journey, you know. So this energy that we're in now, you know, we're going down, you know, we are connecting with all of the energies of death and rebirth that Samhain presents us. And you know, this year Samhain, you know, on an astrological thing, it's moved to the 7th. So that will change, because the Gregorian calendar, unfortunately, is not very accurate and it's not fixed. So we work out the correct time of Samhain by working out exactly halfway between winter solstice and autumn equinox. So whenever that is equal, you know, that exact day is the 7th this year. So yeah, that's when I'll be doing my potent rituals. And that is just the day before the lunar eclipse, which will be coming on the 8th of November. So Samhain portal 7th, lunar eclipse, blood moon the 8th. So that's coming at the fullness of this cycle that's coming. So this new moon, this whole cycle is potent, and the climax of it, you know, the big culmination at the full moon is huge, you know. So what I really feel to invite or suggest now, and what I'm doing for myself, is so this new moon cycle that's just coming to its completion. We're in the waning of the moon, coming into the dark. So we had a new moon in Virgo, and it was conjunct Venus and Mercury and the nodes, I think, nearly, I can't remember. Anyway, the new moon that's coming up is again, it's in Virgo again, because often we get two moons in Virgo because it's so large. And so it's like Groundhog Day, like we're doing it all over again. So we had a practice run. That's really kind of the divine, of the cosmos, isn't it? It's like, here you go, guys. Here is a practice run of these energies. And then this next cycle that's coming is like the real thing. Oh, gosh. Okay. So what did we learn this cycle? This is really important, I feel, to move into this next cycle with. So, we see everything as a journey, everything is a cycle that's moving. We're all spiraling and journeying through the cosmos. So now, we're coming to the end of this cycle. It's like the time of the harvest. We are really gathering our medicine. You could imagine like the shaman or the witch or the wizard, whoever it is, going out, we're collecting mushrooms, we're collecting all of the things, all of the herbs, all of the pumpkins, everything that we need to take us on this inner journey. We're going down, we're going in. We have 5 moons or 5 inner journeys before we come back out at the spring equinox. This is an inner time, it's the time of, all the animals are going down into the earth. So obviously this which I'm sharing is about those of us who are in the north. Obviously, on the flip side of that, people are in the southern hemisphere. You are in your summer now, or you're coming into your summer at least. So yeah, you're the opposite side. But so this inner journey that we're going on now, that we're going down and into the earth, and we are like I really feel this from my ancestors, and the shamans of Siberia. Like I know that I have a connection there, and the Siberian shamans would collect the mushrooms, the red and white mushrooms, and would do ceremonies with them. So this is in preparation. So everything that's happening now, it's like I really feel like the energy of Ophiuchus, which is coming up obviously soon in November. So the sun will move into Ophiuchus on the 30th of November. So all of this that's we're doing now is preparing us to meet with Serpent of Ophiuchus and to journey, to explore the inner realms, to commune with the ancestors, to receive messages from the other world. And this time, when it comes close to the Samhain portal, you can feel the veils are thinning. I can feel it now. Like I've been getting visions and like feeling my ancestors so with me. I feel quite like goosebumpily when I say that, because it's like it kind of gives that invitation to like welcome them, and so in the ancestry, in our old ways of what we would do at this time, we would be going out on the land, we would be collecting the medicine, the mushrooms and the different things to journey, to commune with our ancestors, because they have things to share with us around, things that might be to come, to give us insights of the future, maybe even. And so it was always the grandmothers, the elders, who had these abilities through all of the work that they'd done throughout their lives, to be the oracle, to be the channel, and to then share the visions and the predictions with the tribes, with the community. So yeah, I really feel like this time, with the mushrooms around everywhere and the ivy's so strong and the apples going down and in, it's a real invitation, like this card said. It says to, go to the seeds of wisdom that are planted within, and to really look at, what it is that upsets us the most, what it is from our childhood that needs repairing, that we could do some work on, during this eclipse season. So now we are in the waning of the moon. This is a time for gathering our medicine, gathering what we have learned, gathering all of the things that have come up for us during this last cycle, or even these last 6 months since the last eclipse, how we've changed. And to really, as we're going into this next eclipse season, say, okay, so we're doing this again. And how are we evolving? How are we growing in this? Because everything that's happening is happening because we're ready for it, because it's time, because it's the way. It's the way that's been shown to us. So that was a very big introduction. I told you I had lots coming through. So yeah, I'm going to share the screen with you all. I'm going to get the charts up. Just give me a second. Ding. Okay, so where are we here? New moon solar eclipse. Okay, so I'm imagining that you can all see that chart now. So this is the chart for the new moon solar eclipse. So for those of you who are interested, it's the 25th of October at 11:48 a.m. and that's in the GMT time zone. So what will we be doing that day? That's on Tuesday next week. Got my lovely cacao. It's really yummy. Right, so we're doing the chart, aren't we? So looking at this chart, the things that really start to come through for me, obviously, Saturn is squaring the nodes, which has been an ongoing theme. So if we look over here, this is the new moon solar eclipse. This is the sun and the moon. Hold on, just get my thing working. What's happening? It's the wrong color, we can't see it. I just have to put my cursor there, maybe. Hold on, I'm just trying to write on it, but it wasn't showing up for some reason, so try again. I'll just have to use my cursor because it's the wrong color and it's not letting me change it at the moment. So anyway, the sun and the moon are in right at the end of Virgo, and you can see Mercury is here as well, and Venus is here as well, and this is the south node in Libra. So the sun will be moving into Libra 31st of October. So, and around that time, Mars is also going retrograde. So that's something to really pay attention to. So he is at the moment, he's over in Taurus over here. He's going to be going retrograde at the end of this month. So in this eclipse season. At the moment, he's not, but he will be. So, yeah, so we're starting this cycle. The seeds of this cycle are in Virgo. So what has she got to offer us here? So we've practiced this. We've practiced this last cycle, with the new moon being at the same in Virgo, but it was right near the beginning of Virgo. So now we're at the end, right at the end of the priestess. So she is the priestess who is wise, who is knowledgeable, who has gathered the wisdom and the herbs. And yeah, she's really, in the fullness of her capacity now, hopefully. And so with Venus and the moon and the sun and Mercury all there, it's like this beautiful stellium in Virgo. And it feels like the mastery of the priestess and the mastery of the midwife, the one who has done the work, the service, she's so in service to the divine. And there's also an energy here of perfection. And in having done the work before, last cycle, so we can look back at the things that have come up and be prepared. It's like having that foresight to say, okay, this is what might be coming up for us this cycle. and eclipse seasons generally bring change, whatever change it is that we need. And that could be a physical change within our home. It could be a change in our job. It could be something really internal, like a change in our ideas around something, or there could be a new direction coming, or yeah, there's just like so much. And as well, obviously, Uranus is opposite over with the North Node in Aries. So Uranus is also bringing sudden changes and unexpected things. So I'm kind of going into this cycle thinking, okay, so there might be some unexpected changes happening. And, Venus is really close to opposing Uranus, and she will be coming really close into that opposition throughout this cycle. So that could mean like, sudden changes in our love life, or in, the people around us, or things that we value could be shifting and changing. So that could be something to keep in mind. It's nice to kind of go into it and think, okay, so everything that's going to come up this cycle potentially, is linked to what happened in the last eclipse season 6 months ago. And potentially, it's offering me a chance of growth here. So, we can go into it hopefully a bit more optimistic than being like, oh shit, what's going to happen? But, like the card also said, I keep going back to this card because it really is spot on. It's like, really go through the hoop of your innermost fears. And it really is in going through that hoop, that we can go back to that pain from childhood and meet with our blocks, and our ivy blocks, the things that in the dark, when we're going down, spiraling down into the earth, what are those things, from our ancestors as well? It might even be from their lifetimes that we are living out this lifetime, patterns that we're repeating this lifetime from our ancestors. And it didn't even start with us, like, and so it takes a lot of self-awareness to be like, wow, no, I can really see this pattern. It's like a Groundhog Day, like we just keep repeating the cycles over and over again. And when we look back and we can connect the dots, we can say, okay, I can see this is a thing. It's a pattern. It keeps repeating. We can then, the first step is to be aware of it, right? And then we can start to make changes by watching it in ourselves. And then finally, maybe getting to the place of just watching it and not reacting, from a wounded place, but just really witnessing it. And then doing the work on our innermost places, our inner child, and tending to those places, maybe having a really good cry, and or asking for the support that we need so that we can find the healing. Because I'm not saying that going to our, the pain from our childhood is going to be an easy thing. It's definitely not, but it's a chance for really deep transformation, and really a chance to let go of some things that have been holding us back, so that it's for our own evolution. Yeah. So there's a big kind of energy that I'm feeling from Saturn as well. He has been squaring the nose for a long time, and it feels like with the relationships of Libra, and the dependence and moving on from the past, our past lives, our past relationships, patterns from the past that have been, structures and systems that support us, can have a lot to do with our father or the father line, the patriarchy, however we want to look at it. But there is it feels like an invitation through this cycle to really find a card of freedom and break free from something that has had us in chains. And that might be a fear, a fear of being alone, or a fear of not being loved, or whatever it is for us, like that fear that may hold us back and stop us from moving towards, our innermost passions and desires and the things that we really want to create in the world. You know, we may be given an opportunity this eclipse season to really see that, and maybe even trace back to our ancestry because they're so here, you know, and reconnect the threads of where that might have come from, and do the inner work to release it. Yes, so solar eclipse in Virgo. So I'm just tuning in. I keep looking at Black Moon Lilith because she's like, oi, oi, I'm here. Okay, so there's a beautiful trine, as you can see, this big blue triangle. So we are working with a grand trine as well at this solar eclipse. And grand trines, it feels like it's quite fast moving, and it's like energy is moving quickly around and in this triangle. And so it feels like as well with Lilith and Gemini, you know, so much around our voice, our communication, you know, what we want to say. Could also be around saying the wrong thing, or somebody else saying something that upsets us, you know, or we might be afraid to speak our truth, you know, because she's around fears, afraid of using our voice for whatever reason. But this energy of breaking through something, you know, it feels like, you know, because at the bottom here we have Vesta of the sacred fire over in Capricorn. And obviously she's quite close to Saturn as well. And there's this energy of devotion in this trine. It's like we are devoted to something, like we are devoted to moving through this energy, you know, and with the energy of the midwife and Virgo, it's so much about what we value. It's about the service that we want to bring into this world, and really taking care of ourselves. You know, Virgo is very much connected to our health as well, and how we take care of ourselves, and the foods that we eat, the herbs that we have, you know, everything around health and well-being. So, you know, we could find that this cycle, it's like there is something breaking here. It feels like to do with our fears, you know, Black Moon, Lilith, and Gemini around speaking our truth or communicating, or even our mind, you know, because Geminis can be quite mental. It might be an inner thought process, you know, or something that we think about ourselves that might limit us or hold us back. Maybe it's a thought that was my grandma's thought and her grandma's thought, you know, and it's like that, oh, I'm not good enough, or whatever it is, you know, like, and so just hearing that, what we might have this breakthrough, it'd be like we might see this little voice that is saying these things in our head, you know. So it could be a real opportunity, this new moon, to really invite change, internal change, to do with, you know, what we share, our voice, and our mental patterns. I'm going to move along to the first quarter moon. The first quarter moon will be in Capricorn. That will be on the 1st of November. So, you know, the Capricorn energy, I connect to the father energy as well. So, you know, this is also a chance to meet with that father within. But the energy of the waxing moon is the energy is building. So we could find by the time we get to this first quarter moon, Mars is just going retrograde. You can see that the sun is now, you know, 0 degrees of Libra. So it's crossed over into Libra, finally, after a big time in Virgo, right? And so the sun, Venus, Mercury, and the South Node, you know, they are all in trine to Lilith up here in Gemini still. And we've got Vesta and Juno down here. So this trine is still, you know, here now. So it feels like, okay, so this is still, this cycle, we're still building towards this. We're still working with these energies. And now if you look, Venus is very much opposite Uranus. So wow. So there could be some real big changes coming, you know, some real big breakthroughs. It could even be physical changes, you know. Yeah, so I think that was all I had written down for the first quarter moon. I'm going to move over to the full moon. I'm going to do another video around the full moon, so I won't go massively into that now. But yeah, you can see, I'm just going to zoom in a bit for you all. Okay, so yeah, big T square again. I say Saturn and the nodes, but this is like the pinnacle. Like, come on, like, are we going to move on from this? It's like we're getting worked so hard. You know, Saturn is about work, right? So we've got real big lessons here around our relationships and having to work in our relationships. Perhaps some of us are really having to work in our relationships right now to move on from some of the old stuff in our past, you know, that we may be repeating, you know, old cycles, and really meeting with these fears and really looking at them. You know, my biggest fears is something that I have been really meeting with through giving birth to my children, actually. And, you know, my Black Moon Lilith is in Cancer as well. So she, in the full moon, she's in Cancer. So that will be interesting. I shall let you all know how that goes. But, you know, there is still now, I mean, look, this beautiful, like, intense and transformative chart for the full moon. It's like the full moon is conjunct Uranus for a start. You know, this is really big. And now, obviously, the moon is opposing the sun and Venus and Mercury. So, our love, our voice, our communication, like all of the things that are important to us and that we value, you know, with the moon at the height of this cycle here, you know, the fullness of the moon is joining with Uranus for a lunar eclipse, blood moon in T square to Saturn, you know, like holy moly. That's all I can say about that. But I also wanted to bring our attention really, really, really to Jupiter and Neptune because they're coming really, really close together. You can see here, down here, Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces, you know, and these are in trine to the Sun and Venus and Mercury over in Libra now, you know, so it feels like with these two planets coming together, it's like, oh my gosh, there's an invitation for real spiritual revolution in ourselves, in our relationships, in our heart, in all the things we value. You know, it's like it feels like there's a new perception coming in from all of this frigging hard work that we're doing in our relationships. Our relationships to ourselves, to our beloved, to, you know, the family, to our friends, our children. All of our relationships have really probably been, for many of us, quite hard work at the minute. Thank you, Saturn. You know, we're now the Sun and Venus and Mercury have crossed over the South Node. You know, so they're on the other side now. So it's like, okay, we've moved on from something. Something is coming to a completion now with this full moon. You know, we're after the Samhain portal. It feels like there could be, you know, real big endings of things, you know, finishing up of jobs or moving house, going into somewhere new, like because death and the birth of it are so entwined, right? So when something ends, it's because there's another doorway somewhere coming, you know, so really potent energies here. And also, you know, this energy that I was just talking about with the Jupiter and Neptune down in Pisces, it's in square to Mars, who's in retrograde. So it feels like these energies of like this spiritual revolution or spiritual shifts that could be happening in our consciousness is squaring Mars, and he's in Taurus and he doesn't want to budge. You know, so Mars in Taurus can be really fixed in his idea of how things are. It has to be, he has to see it to believe it, very physical, you know. So he's challenging this spiritual energy, you know, around this full moon. He could be stuck in the old ways. He's a fixed earth sign. He's going backwards. He just wants to dig his heels in the soil. You know, so there could be a real interesting energy on this full moon from Mars. So watch out for that. Just quickly, the last quarter moon. Yeah, so the thing that, like, when I looked at this, I was like, wow, obviously there's this beautiful grand trine. So at the top of the trine here, we've got Venus, Mercury, Sun, who are all in Libra. So this is very balanced, right? We've come away from the nodes with the Sun and Venus and Mercury have come away from the nodes, the South Node. So they're making a trine now with Neptune and Jupiter and Black Moon Lilith and Pallas, who are over in Gemini. So this feels like with Pallas Athena, she's connected to justice, you know, and real kind of the voice of truth and intuition as well. She's very wise, you know. So it's like she's joining with Lilith, and like she's bringing this essence of justice and truth to all that we feared, you know, everything that we've felt, you know, throughout our life, of like these things that have been holding us back and these fears that we've had. You know, by the time we get to the end of this cycle, maybe we'll feel validated in that. Yes, you know, it's important that you feel those feelings, you know, but you can move on from this now, but maybe there will be some real great revelations coming to us around our childhood, I feel, or even past lives and things that have been in our family line, you know, because this whole cycle is so connected to the Samhain energy. This whole cycle is so connected to our ancestors. This whole cycle is an invitation to commune with our ancestors and to really start to reweave a tapestry that is for our future, for our children, you know, for this world, you know, by releasing ourselves from all of these chains, all of these ivy blocks. Ivy's still here with me. Like, wow, it's at the end of this cycle, you know, we're coming into our last quarter moon, and the moon will be in Leo as well. So I feel like this whole cycle is super fiery. You know, we've got a fiery full moon in Aries, conjunct Uranus. I think I might just stay at home for the full moon. I don't know about you. Full moon eclipse, excuse me. Yeah. So anyway, I think I'm gonna come back to you all. So I'm out of here. And I haven't even spoken about Pluto, but I think that could be for another day. I'm always talking about Pluto at the minute, so maybe we need a break. But you know, Pluto is very connected to this transformative energy that, you know, we are dabbling with now. So last little note before I go is from Circle of Life book by dear lovely Elizabeth Davis. At the heart of transformation is the paradox of surrender and control. To control means to order, structure, force, or mold to certain expectations. One can dictate change, but not transformation. So that's all, my darlings. Lots of love. Happy new moon.